Have you ever wondered why some people drag you closer to ruin the more you try to save them? Why your effort, loyalty, and compassion seem to evaporate the moment they are offered to certain individuals, leaving you weaker, poorer, and more exposed than before? Well, Machiavelli would tell you this is not misfortune, it is pattern. Most people believe goodness is universally rewarded, that sacrifice earns loyalty, that helping others creates bonds of gratitude strong enough to protect you later. This belief is comforting and it is lethal. It survives because it flatters the ego. It allows you to see yourself as virtuous while ignoring the mechanics of human nature. Machiavelli tore this illusion apart with cold precision. He did not ask what should happen when you save someone. He asked what actually happens. And what actually happens is rarely noble. The world is not divided between good people and bad people. It is divided between those who respond to power, consequence, and structure, and those who feed on chaos, pity, and access. The greatest mistake you can make is assuming that everyone who suffers wants to be saved. Many do not want escape. They want an audience. They want cover. They want a host for their disorder. Machiavelli understood that rescuing the wrong person does not elevate you. It binds you. That binds you. It ties your fate to forces you do not control. Power is not only about who you oppose, it is about who you carry. Some people arrive in your life carrying storms disguised as bad luck. They speak endlessly of misfortune, of betrayals, of how nothing ever works out for them. At first, you feel sympathy. You believe they are simply unlucky, misunderstood, cursed by circumstances. You extend help, advice, resources, emotional labor, and the storm follows. Machiavelli would recognize this figure immediately, not as unlucky, but as an architect of chaos. These people are not passive victims of disorder, they generate it. Wherever they go, systems break, relationships fracture, opportunities collapse. When you look closely, the pattern is not external, it is internal. Saving them feels like heroism at first. You tell yourself you will be the exception, the one who finally helps them turn their life around. But chaos does not transform through kindness. It consumes structure. The more order you bring, the more resistance it creates. Soon you are managing fires you did not start, explaining problems you did not cause, defending decisions you did not make. Machiavelli would warn you here. Chaos is contagious. Proximity is permission. The moment you attach your name, reputation, or resources to someone who generates disorder, you inherit their instability. Their enemies become yours. Their failures stain you. Their unpredictability erodes your authority. You cannot save the architect of chaos because they do not suffer from misfortune. They suffer from identity. Chaos is who they are, and anyone who tries to remove it becomes a threat to their sense of self. Then there are those who drain rather than disrupt. They take without destroying outright, hollowing you slowly instead. They receive help as if it were owed, assistance as if it were insufficient, sacrifice as if it were late. Gratitude never arrives. Relief never lasts. The moment one need is met, another emerges. Machiavelli would see this not as desperation, but as appetite, a bottomless pit disguised as vulnerability. At first, you believe persistence will change them. You think consistency will teach them appreciation. You imagine that once they are stable, they will finally recognize what you did for them. But stability only reveals the truth faster. When nothing changes, you are forced to confront a brutal reality. Some people do not experience gratitude as an emotion. They experience help as a resource to be extracted. Saving them teaches them only one lesson, that you are a renewable supply. This is where power quietly leaks away. Each unreciprocated sacrifice trains others how to treat you. Machiavelli understood that generosity without consequence creates entitlement, not loyalty. Loyalty requires cost. Gratitude requires scarcity. When you give endlessly, you become invisible. Then there is a more dangerous type, one that smiles while sharpening the blade. They applaud your success, echo your words, mirror your values. They seem supportive, even admiring, but something is always off. Their praise feels thin. Their curiosity feels invasive. Your victories make them restless. Machiavelli knew this type well. The envious do not attack openly. They sabotage indirectly. They spread doubt quietly. They celebrate you publicly and undermine you privately. They study you not to learn, but to compete from your blind spots. Trying to save them is fatal because they do not want improvement, they want replacement. Your rise is experienced as their humiliation. Your strength highlights their inadequacy. Helping them only gives them closer access to your weaknesses. Machiavelli would tell you that envy is not healed by kindness. It is intensified by proximity. The more you elevate yourself, the more they feel diminished. The more you help them, the more they resent you for being in a position to help at all. Then comes the most manipulative of all, the one who survives by bleeding in front of others. They are always wounded, always wronged, always overwhelmed. Their stories are emotionally rich and strategically empty. Every failure is someone else's fault. Every consequence is unfair. Every boundary you set becomes proof of cruelty. Machiavelli saw pity as one of the most dangerous emotions in politics and in life. Not because compassion is wrong, but because pity disarms judgment. The professional victim does not ask for solutions. Solutions end their leverage. They ask for sympathy because sympathy suspends accountability. Saving them feels morally righteous. You tell yourself they need understanding, patience, healing. But what they need is friction, and you remove it. Each time you excuse their behavior, you reinforce it. Each time you shield them from consequences, you teach them that suffering is a strategy. Machiavelli would warn you that pity is power in the hands of the weak who know how to weaponize it. Once you are emotionally invested, they can control you without authority. You become the one managing their feelings, their crises, their narrative. And then there are those who refuse to learn. They are loud in their certainty, aggressive in their ignorance, dismissive of advice. Their failures repeat with mechanical precision, yet they remain convinced of their superiority. Any attempt to help is met with defensiveness or contempt. Machiavelli had no patience for the unteachable, not because he valued intelligence alone, but because learning requires humility, and humility is the gateway to change. The arrogant fool does not want guidance. They want validation. Trying to save them becomes a battle against their identity. Your advice threatens their ego. Your experience exposes their delusions. Instead of listening, they resist. Instead of adapting, they double down. Machiavelli would say that time spent on the unteachable is time stolen from the capable. Power demands allocation. You must choose where your effort produces return. Investing in someone who refuses to learn is not compassion. It is negligence toward your own future. And finally, there is the most honest of all threats, the one who does not hide their nature. They betray, apologize, repeat. They harm, regret, return. Their remorse sounds convincing. Their promises feel sincere. And yet, the cycle never breaks. Machiavelli understood repetition as confession. When behavior repeats, it is no longer an accident. It is a declaration of character. Saving this person is the most tempting mistake because they show awareness. They acknowledge wrongdoing or express guilt. But awareness without transformation is manipulation with better language. The scorpion does not change its sting because it understands pain. It stings because it is what it does. Machiavelli would say that mercy given repeatedly to the same offender is not mercy, it is invitation. Each forgiveness trains them to calculate how much damage they can cause before consequences arrive. Eventually, the cost is paid by you. Across all these figures, one principle remains constant. You cannot save people who benefit from staying the same. Their dysfunction is not a flaw. It is a system, and systems resist disruption. Machiavelli did not teach cruelty. He taught preservation. He believed that a leader, a ruler, or any individual seeking power must first protect their foundation. You cannot build strength while carrying liabilities disguised as relationships. The world does not reward those who save everyone. It consumes them. And it does so quietly through obligation, guilt, and misplaced loyalty. This is not a lesson about abandoning humanity. It is a lesson about discernment. About recognizing that your energy, time, and protection are finite resources. Every person you try to save is a strategic decision, and some decisions lead not to loyalty, but to collapse. Machiavelli would leave you with this uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the most ruthless act is not destruction, but refusal. Refusal to engage. Refusal to rescue. Refusal to tie your fate to those who will never carry theirs. Because power is not only about what you build, it is about what you refuse to carry. And this is only the beginning. Once you understand this refusal, a deeper layer of Machiavelli's lesson begins to surface, one far more uncomfortable than the first. It is not only that these people cannot be saved, it is that trying to save them actively reshapes you and never in your favor. Machiavelli observed that prolonged exposure to dysfunction alters judgment. At first you see clearly. You notice the patterns, the excuses, the repeated failures. You tell yourself you are simply being patient, that change takes time, that growth is non-linear. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, patience turns into tolerance. Tolerance turns into normalization. Normalization turns into self-betrayal. You begin to explain away what you once would have rejected immediately. This is how power erodes, not through sudden defeat, but through gradual accommodation. The architect of chaos teaches you to accept instability as normal. You stop expecting peace. You stop demanding consistency. You adapt to fires instead of preventing them. Over time, your nervous system learns crisis as a baseline. Calm begins to feel suspicious. You become reactive rather than deliberate. Machiavelli would recognize this as strategic decay. A mind trained on emergencies cannot plan. A life surrounded by chaos cannot expand. Worse still, chaos attracts attention. People begin to associate you with problems rather than solutions. Even if you are not the cause, proximity becomes perception. Machiavelli warned that reputation is not built on intent, but association. Carry the wrong people long enough and their shadow becomes yours. Then the bottomless pit teaches you a more subtle corruption. You begin to feel guilty for having limits. Each time you hesitate, you hear an internal accusation. Maybe you're being selfish. Maybe you could do more. Maybe this time it will be enough. This guilt slowly reprograms your sense of worth. Your value becomes tied to how much you give, not to who you are or what you build. Machiavelli understood this trap. When people learn that your identity is tied to generosity, they learn how to control you. Need becomes leverage. Crisis becomes currency. You no longer choose to help. You feel compelled. This is how saviors become servants. And once this dynamic is established, it spreads. Others notice. Requests increase. Boundaries are tested. You are no longer respected for strength, but targeted for availability. In Machiavellian terms, you have lost deterrence. To have lost deterrence. Your kindness no longer inspires loyalty. It signals vulnerability. The Smiling Saboteur inflicts a different kind of damage. They distort your perception of trust. Because they are close, because they seem supportive, you begin to doubt your instincts when something feels wrong. You override suspicion to preserve harmony. You share more than you should. You reveal ideas prematurely. You let your guard down. Machiavelli knew that betrayal rarely comes from enemies. It comes from proximity, from those who study you quietly while pretending to stand beside you. Saving them, mentoring them, elevating them gives them access without allegiance. When envy turns active, it rarely looks like attack. It looks like delay, miscommunication, subtle doubt planted in the right ears. You feel resistance but cannot locate its source. This uncertainty drains energy. You begin fighting ghosts. Power hates ambiguity. Envy creates it. The professional victim corrodes something even more vital, your moral clarity. When every boundary you set is framed as cruelty, you begin to question your own ethics. You soften decisions. You postpone consequences. You explain yourself endlessly. Machiavelli warned that leaders who explain too much lose authority. Explanation invites debate. Debate invites defiance. The victim thrives in this space because their power lies in emotional escalation. They pull you into their narrative, where logic is replaced by feeling and accountability is always postponed. The more you try to save them, the more entangled you become in their story. Eventually, you are no longer acting strategically. You are reacting emotionally. And emotion is the enemy of control. The arrogant fool attacks your sense of efficacy. Every failed attempt to help them feels like personal failure. You question your communication, your teaching, your patience. You begin to wonder if the problem is you. Machiavelli would stop you immediately. He would remind you that incompetence defended by ego is impermeable. No strategy penetrates it. Continuing to invest is not persistence. It is denial. Meanwhile, the Scorpion teaches the harshest lesson of all. That remorse is not reform. That words are cheap when behavior is consistent. That pain, once endured repeatedly, reshapes you into someone smaller, more guarded, more exhausted. Each cycle trains you to accept harm as temporary, manageable, forgivable, until one day the cost is no longer manageable, and by then the damage is already done. Across all six, a single pattern emerges. These people do not merely fail to improve. They require you to weaken in order to stay connected to them. Your boundaries threaten their survival strategy. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Your clarity dismantles their leverage. Machiavelli would say this is why separation feels cruel. It is not because you are doing something wrong, it is because you are finally doing something right. Severing ties with these individuals often triggers backlash, accusations, guilt, moral condemnation. You are framed as heartless, selfish, changed. This is predictable. When access is removed, manipulation escalates. Machiavelli would expect nothing less. Power always attracts resentment from those who depended on your weakness. Here lies another truth Machiavelli understood deeply. Not everyone deserves proximity. Access is not a human right. It is a strategic privilege. Who you allow near you shapes your decisions, your reputation, and your future. This is why rulers controlled their inner circle more ruthlessly than their enemies. An external threat can be managed. An internal liability corrodes from within. Most people fail here because they confuse emotional history with strategic value. They believe time invested obligates future sacrifice. Machiavelli rejected this completely. Past effort does not justify future loss. If a relationship weakens you, its history is irrelevant. This is the cold calculus most people avoid. But avoidance does not negate consequence. It only delays it. By now, you may feel resistance rising. A voice insisting that this worldview is too harsh, too unforgiving, too dark. Machiavelli anticipated this reaction. He knew that truth, when it threatens identity, feels immoral. But morality that destroys you is not virtue. It is vanity. The world is not destroyed by ruthless people alone. It is sustained by those who enable them out of misplaced compassion. Machiavelli did not fear cruelty as much as he feared weakness disguised as goodness. And if this unsettles you, it should. Because recognizing these patterns forces a final question you cannot avoid much longer. If Machiavelli is right, then the greatest danger is not these 6 types of people. It is the part of you that keeps trying to save them. That realization cuts deeper than any accusation ever could because it turns the blade inward. Machiavelli understood that the most dangerous entanglements persist not because of the people who exploit them, but because of the psychological rewards the rescuer receives. To continue saving those who weaken you is rarely pure altruism. It is often identity, fear, and ego wearing the mask of virtue. There is a quiet power in being needed. It makes you feel relevant, indispensable, morally superior. The role of savior offers meaning without demanding transformation. You do not have to confront your own ambitions, risks, or potential failures if your energy is consumed managing someone else's chaos. Machiavelli would recognize this instantly. He would see that rescuing the wrong people can be a sophisticated form of avoidance. When you save the architect of chaos, you feel competent amid disorder. Their dysfunction gives you purpose. Their crises give you something to fix. Without them, you might be forced to confront your own direction, your own unfinished plans, your own unresolved fears. Chaos becomes familiar. It becomes comfortable. And comfort, Machiavelli knew, is the enemy of growth. The bottomless pit offers a different psychological payoff. Their need flatters you. It frames you as generous, patient, morally exceptional. Each sacrifice reinforces an internal narrative that you are good because you give. This is dangerous. When your identity depends on sacrifice, you will seek situations that demand it. You will unconsciously gravitate toward people who consume you, because without them, who are you? Machiavelli would say that any identity built on depletion is strategically unsound. Power requires accumulation. Strength requires preservation. A person who defines themselves by what they lose will eventually have nothing left to defend. The Smiling Saboteur feeds yet another hidden need: validation through proximity. Their admiration feels intoxicating because it reflects your status back to you. You like being watched. You like being admired. You like being admired. You like being the reference point. This blinds you. You mistake attention for allegiance. You confuse closeness with loyalty. Machiavelli warned that visibility attracts imitation, and imitation attracts competition. The envious do not want to be you because they admire you. They want to be you because they resent the distance between who they are and who you represent. Keeping them close allows you to feel important, but it also allows them to study you without resistance. The professional victim hooks into a far more dangerous impulse: the need to be morally innocent. By saving them, you avoid the discomfort of appearing cold. You preserve an image of yourself as compassionate, understanding, humane. Machiavelli would dismantle this illusion mercilessly. He would tell you that power has never been awarded to those who prioritized appearing good over being effective. The victim thrives on your reluctance to be judged. They sense your fear of social condemnation and exploit it. Every boundary becomes cruelty. Every refusal becomes betrayal. And because you fear being seen as heartless, you comply. Over time, you surrender authority not because you are weak, but because you are afraid of how strength will be interpreted. The arrogant fool confronts you with a different vulnerability: the fear of being wrong. You continue trying to help them because admitting failure feels like admitting incompetence. You double down, you explain more clearly, you simplify, you repeat yourself, you invest more energy, believing that effort will eventually overcome resistance. Machiavelli would see this as sunk cost madness. Strategy demands detachment. When a plan fails repeatedly, wisdom dictates withdrawal. Ego demands persistence. The unteachable survive by exhausting your ego until you abandon your own judgment. And then there is the scorpion who preys on your hope. Hope is powerful, and Machiavelli treated it with caution. Hope keeps people compliant during suffering. Hope delays action. Hope convinces you that tomorrow will be different even when yesterday was identical. You forgive because you hope. You stay because you hope. You endure because you hope. You endure because you hope. Meanwhile, behavior remains unchanged. Machiavelli would call this voluntary blindness. When patterns repeat, hope becomes self-deception. Across all of this, a single truth becomes unavoidable. These people remain in your life because some part of you benefits from their presence even as they drain you. Until you confront that benefit, you will repeat the cycle under different names and faces. Machiavelli believed that self-knowledge was the foundation of power, not self-love. Not self-esteem, self-knowledge. The ability to look at your own motives without decoration, to admit when virtue masks fear, to recognize when compassion masks avoidance, to see when loyalty masks dependence. This is where most people retreat. Because this level of honesty strips away comforting stories. It forces you to accept that you are not merely a victim of others' dysfunction. You are a participant in its continuation. But here is the transformation Machiavelli offers. The moment you see this clearly, the spell breaks. You no longer feel noble saving people who refuse to change. You feel constrained, you feel delayed, you feel diminished. And once you feel that, separation becomes inevitable. Detachment does not require cruelty. It requires clarity. It requires clarity. It requires you to stop negotiating with patterns, to stop explaining boundaries, to stop justifying distance. You do not need permission to protect your structure. You do not need consensus to withdraw access. Machiavelli would remind you that power does not announce its decisions. It executes them quietly. When you remove yourself from these dynamics, something strange happens. Your energy returns. Your thinking sharpens. Your time expands. Problems that once felt overwhelming dissolve because they were never yours to solve. You realize how much mental space was occupied by managing instability that did not belong to you. This clarity reveals another uncomfortable truth. Many of the obstacles you blamed on circumstances were consequences of association. Opportunities you thought were blocked were merely avoided by others who sensed disorder around you. Stability attracts opportunity. Chaos repels it. Machiavelli understood reputation as gravity. It pulls things toward you or pushes them away. Who you carry alters that gravity. By now, the lesson is no longer about them. It is about you. About the threshold where compassion ends and self-preservation begins. About the line where mercy becomes sabotage. About the moment you choose whether your life is a sanctuary or a battlefield you never volunteered for. And this prepares you for the final reckoning, because knowing who not to save is only half the lesson. The other half is deciding who you will become when you finally stop trying. When you finally stop trying to save them, the silence that follows can feel terrifying. Not because you made the wrong decision, but because you removed a noise that had been masking something far more important. Your own direction, your own responsibility, your own unused strength. Machiavelli understood that separation creates emptiness before it creates clarity. The roles you played collapse. The rescuer disappears. The fixer is no longer needed. And without those identities, you are forced to confront a question most people spend their lives avoiding. If I am not managing someone else's chaos, what am I meant to build? This is the moment where many retreat. They rush to fill the void with new entanglements, new causes, new people to save. And Machiavelli would see this as fear. Fear of stillness. Fear of facing ambition without distraction. Fear of discovering that the greatest obstacle was never others, but the discipline required to pursue your own ascent. The cold truth is this. Saving the wrong people delays your evolution. It keeps you busy but not advancing, exhausted but not fulfilled, needed but not respected. And the world does not reward need. It responds to strength. As the noise fades, you begin to feel the weight of your own potential, the plans you postponed, the risks you avoided, the authority you never claimed because it felt easier to be generous than decisive. This is where Machiavelli's lesson becomes ruthless, not toward others, but toward you. You are not obligated to be accessible. You are not required to carry everyone. And you are not morally superior for sacrificing your future to maintain someone else's dysfunction. Power begins the moment you treat your life as a strategic asset rather than a public resource. Machiavelli believed that order must exist before virtue can matter. A person without structure cannot sustain generosity. A life without boundaries cannot support loyalty. Self-preservation is not selfishness. It is prerequisite. When you step away from these 6 types of people, something remarkable happens. Others adjust. Some disappear. Some resent you. Some resent you. Some reveal their true intentions, and a few, the rare few, rise to meet you differently. They respect the boundary. They honor the distance. They adapt. This is how you learn who deserves proximity, not through promises, history, or emotion, but through response. Power reveals character by changing conditions. The world will test you after you change. It will present familiar faces in new forms, new chaos, new victims, new opportunities to rescue. This is not coincidence, it is calibration. Your resolve will be measured not by what you say, but by what you tolerate. Machiavelli would tell you that consistency is the final proof of authority. One exception reopens the door. One indulgence invites negotiation. One act of misplaced mercy teaches others how to reach you again. Wow. This is not about becoming cold for the sake of cruelty. It is about becoming clear enough to choose wisely. Compassion with discernment is strength. Compassion without discernment is surrender. You may feel guilt. You may feel guilt. You may feel doubt. You may replay conversations and imagine alternative endings. This is the residue of conditioning, not evidence of error. Guilt is what remains when boundaries are new. It fades as reality stabilizes, and as stability takes hold, you will notice how much lighter you feel, how much more direct your thinking becomes, how quickly decisions form, how little you need to explain. This is not hardness, this is alignment. Machiavelli did not ask you to abandon humanity. He asked you to understand it, to recognize that some people do not want change, they want access, that some relationships are not bonds, but drains, that some forms of kindness are indistinguishable from self-destruction, The ruthless lesson is not about rejecting others. It is about choosing yourself without apology. If you carry everyone, you go nowhere. If you protect nothing, you lose everything. If you refuse to let go, you will never rise. So decide now with clarity and finality. Stop trying to redeem those who profit from chaos. Stop sacrificing your future to maintain their present. Stop confusing endurance with virtue. Choose order over disorder, strength over guilt, vision over obligation. Walk forward lighter, sharper, unburdened, and do not look back.